The best preserved Roman buildings exist throughout the sprawling Roman Empire. Today we'll travel all around the confines of the empire, but we'll start first with Rome, which was the capital and had more buildings than any other city. It was the largest city in antiquity, up to 1 million inhabitants, and as the later papal capital, so many of its buildings remained in use, thereby ensuring their preservation. Let's start with the Colosseum. It once held 50,000 spectators. Built by Vespasian between 70 and 80, it remained in use throughout antiquity, and then lived on as a fortification and a place of inhabitation in the Middle Ages, ultimately treated by the Catholic Church as a symbol of the martyrdom of Christians. We can appreciate the underbelly, the hypogeum. This is where the animals waited in cages. This is where the gladiators waited to be hoisted up in elevators. It's got 300 years of modifications. And of course, we can appreciate the full height of the monument, 50 meters. It truly is magnificent. And we get a full experience of the Colosseum when we look at it today. The Pantheon was built between the reigns of Trajan and Hadrian, finished by about 125, and it's the best preserved temple anywhere in the Roman Empire. We could admire the porch, we could admire the bronze doors, and of course the interior space is magnificent. The pavement is a copy of the original format, but the columns inside are still original, as are the niches. And we pivot up to the concrete dome, the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world, with its original coffers still intact. And of course that interior space is like a perfect sphere inside a cylinder. And of course, the rain still comes down through the best preserved temple in the Roman world. We can pass over to the Frigidarium space of the Baths of Diocletian, constructed at the end of the 3rd century AD. 50 meters by 22 meters with an original height of 30 meters, this cold hall was converted by Michelangelo into the Church of Santa Maria degli Angeli. The Markets of Trajan, built by Trajan between 107 and 110, is an administrative center or a shopping mall with 150 stalls. Maybe both. It is built on 3 separate terraces alongside the Quirinal Hill of concrete and brick. It feels modern. It feels like it was built yesterday. And of course, inside of it, there's a magnificent central hall, possibly used for grain distribution. It is an incredible concrete poured vaulting system created by the Emperor Trajan. The Curia, 31 meters in height, is the meeting hall for the Roman Senate. And what we see today is rebuilt after a fire of 283. But it's an exact copy of that of the time of Augustus. And we can peer inside the late antiquity Opus Seculae pavement and admire this interior space, so well preserved because it was converted into a church in the 7th century dedicated to St. Hadrian and then ultimately deconsecrated in the 1930s. Passing into the Forum Boarium and the cattle market, we look at the oldest preserved marble temple from ancient Rome, 2nd century BC. And it's so well preserved because it's converted into a church of St. Stefano of the Carriage Makers. But what we can admire is that Pentelic marble imported from Greece and constructed by sculptors from Greece as well. Let's explore now the rest of the empire, starting in North Africa. Let's head to ancient Thesdrus, to the city of Elgem. And this was a city that became rich from caravan trade and olive oil exportation. And they built a magnificent amphitheater holding up to 35,000 spectators in the 3rd century, the second amphitheater of the city. It's massive and beautiful and golden in the sunlight. It's Africa's greatest amphitheater. It was later used as a quarry site and partially dismantled in the 17th century to prevent its use as a fort. But we can still explore it today, making our way up to the top tiers, to the nosebleed seats, to admire this impressive amphitheater. Now let's head to Egypt and to the island of Philae, sacred to Isis. Egypt, conquered by Augustus, remained very popular under the Romans, and several Roman-era monuments were constructed, including this, the so-called Kiosk of Trajan, built between 98 and 117. It's 15 by 20 meters in size, 15.5 meters high. It was unfinished, but seems to have been used as an offering, one of the sacred birth houses to Isis. And it has unique architectural features, innovative capitals. There was so much going on in Roman Egypt. And this inscription here and these figures show the Emperor Trajan making his offerings to the goddess Isis. It's a monument that we can explore today and admire the presence, the persistence of the Romans and their close ties and interest in the cult of Isis throughout the Roman Empire.